Okay. Hello, everybody. Good night. I know y'all are tired, so we're going to try to go through this as quickly as we can. But 22 is coming up, and our theme this month is Yes, I Can. Oh, yes, 2023. And our theme this month is Yes, I Can. So today we're going to be Yes, I Can, obey God all year long. Y'all ready? Everyone say, here we go. Say it one more time. Here we go. All right, let's dive into scripture. You got it? Well, while he pulls that up, we're going to start in 1 Samuel chapter 15, verse 22. And for those of you who don't know the story of Saul, we're going to look at the story of Saul. Saul was the first king of Israel, and Samuel was the priest who came to him and told him that he was going to be the king. And so Samuel told Saul that he needs to go out there and kill all the Amalekites. And so Saul went, took his soldiers, but as they went and go and fight, God told him to kill everything. They told him to kill every man, every woman, every child, every baby, every cattle, everything, okay? And Saul went, but he allowed his soldiers to not kill a few of the sheep and not kill a few of the cattle. They didn't kill the king, and they just kept everything that they thought was good, and that was disobedient. So Samuel came to Saul, and he said, which does the Lord prefer? Obedience or offering and sacrifices? It is better to obey him than to sacrifice the best sheep to him. Rebellion against him is as bad as witchcraft. Saul didn't think he rebelled against God because when Samuel spoke to him, he said that he obeyed. But he disobeyed God because God told him to kill everything, and yet he allowed his soldiers to keep the sheep, keep the cattle, keep some of the men alive, and so he was rebellious. Samuel continued speaking to Saul, and he said, "And arrogance is as sinful as adultery. Because you rejected the Lord's command, he has rejected you as king." You know, as I read that story, I got a point, and I want you to remember it. If you want to, you can write it down. But disobedience can cancel, delay, or set you off your calling. For some of us, for Saul, it canceled his calling. He was the first king of Israel. And because he made one mistake, he didn't get no second chances. He disobeyed God, and God rejected him as king. For some of us in here, God tells us to do something, but yet we're so scared that we ask him to remove us from a circumstance, but because we can't obey him and go take the step that he told us to go take, we're stuck in those circumstances, delaying our calling for what you were supposed to do and what I'm supposed to do. For others, it sets us off course. You know, in this whole PowerPoint, I have endless persons from the Bible who were obedient or disobedient, and we're just going to roll on. So no one talks about Samson's mother. Y'all even know who Samson's mother is? Samson. Hey, leave me alone. Him, the one with the shame. Oh, you can switch the slide, please. Yeah. You can switch the slide, please. So no one really talks about her, but I thought it was important that we do talk about her because when it comes to obedience, there's a specific point that I want to point out to all of you right now. And it's that obedience to God allows for the success of your future generations. Hebrews have a principle, and it's called the in principle. And it's that basically when you sin, all the children in you, all the generations, your kids, your grandkids, your great-grandkids, everybody in you sinned as well. When we look at Adam, we didn't eat that apple. But yeah, we were born into a world of sin, right? We all came from Adam, and so that's the principle that the Hebrews believe. And so I brought out his mother because I want to tell a story and then explain. So it said, the angel told her, be sure not to drink any wine, beer, or eat any forbidden fruit. And after your son is born, you must never cut his hair. If his mother wasn't obedient, Samson wouldn't be the person who God had intended him to be. And he wouldn't be able to wouldn't be able to begin the work that he wanted to start inside of him if his mother wasn't obedient. We're going to move on to him. And my next point is obedience assures your strength. Obedience assures your God's strength. Anytime God calls you to do something, you might be scared, but he's going to give you the strength to do it. And it was proven. We're going to look at Samson's story. Who all know? Y'all know he had this girl named Delilah, right? And she tried to trick him, tell him, if you love me, you'll tell me this, and running on, right? Boys, any girls just be running on telling y'all, if you love me, you'll do this? Right? No? Nobody? Well, he had this girl named Delilah, and she said to him, how can you say you love me when you don't mean it? You've made a fool of me 3 times, and you still haven't told me what makes you so strong. She kept asking him day after day after day after day. And he got sick and tired of her bothering him about it. Then he finally told her the truth. So what she was asking him is, what made you so strong? And I want to ask you, what made him so strong? His hair, right? I believe that too. But when we look at the scripture, when she asked that question, he never said, "Oh, my hair makes me strong." What he said is, when he finally told the truth, he said, "My hair has never been cut." Y'all see where I'm going with that right now? He never said, "Oh, my hair made me strong." No. It was his obedience of never cutting his hair that gave him the strength. It was his mom's obedience of never cutting his hair that gave him the strength. And we continue on, and he finally said, "I have been dedicated to God as a Nazarite from the time I was born. And if my hair were cut," see, he repeats it again. He said, if my hair was cut, it's the action that he had to obey which gave him the strength. Not the hair. The hair is just symbolic. But it was his obedience. And he said, if my hair were cut, I would lose my strength and be as weak as anybody else. So my point here is obedience assures your strength. We're going to move on and we're going to look at David. You could go to the next slide, please. All right. Oof. Okay, perfect. When we look at David, we're going to look at Psalms 119, verse 9. And I want to ask you a question. How can young people keep their lives pure? Y'all don't read my screen. I'm asking y'all the question. You could go back for a second, please. Okay, well, how can young people keep their lives pure? I asking, y'all can answer. Yes, Asia. Discipline. Don't make me start calling names, Deontay. Manny. How you can make sure your life is pure? Good. Obeying your parents. Good, Felicia. Good, Felicia. Aiden, how can you make sure your life pure? Read your Bible. Manny. Okay, well, we'll just get to the point. So David answered this question, and he's actually the first person to ask this question. And so David said, how can young people keep their lives pure? And as he was talking, he said, by obeying your commands. Well, first of all, the first question is, who is David talking to? Well, David was talking to God, and he said, by obeying your commands. With all my heart, I try to serve you, and keep me from disobeying your commandments. I keep my law in my heart. I keep your law in my heart, so that I will not sin against you. So the question I want to ask right now is, what are the commandments we are supposed to obey? The 10 Commandments. Actually, it's 11, but we'll get into that right now. Yes, because you remember he said, I give to you a new commandment. All right. So let me tell you something. I was doing Bible study, and actually I was going through the 10 Commandments, and I realized that, yeah, we know this simple Bible school knowledge, but if we go through them, do you all live by each and every one of these laws? No, but didn't Jesus say, if you love me, you follow my commandments? If you want to live a life of joy, you follow his commandments? A pure life? So let's go through it. You shall not have other gods before me. I don't think no one does that, right? No. Next one, you shall not make any idols. Any idols. Y'all know what to idolize something means? Well, yeah, but when I looked up the word idolize, it simply meant to admire, love, or love greatly. Some of us in here, we have some athletes who we admire greatly, love greatly, want to be like them. We sometimes wear their shoes to be like them. We have some, poets. I don't know how I get there, but we have some poets. We have some musicians who we idolize. And it's not like we mean to idolize them. It's just the world that we live in. It's normal. You live up to these people. Some of you, don't y'all want to be like the world's greatest athlete? It's just something that you idolize and you don't mean to, but you do. We're going to roll right on to the next law, and it says, you shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain. I'll move right on, and it says, remember to keep the Sabbath day holy. Honor your father and your mother. Y'all, that is the only commandment where God gave a promise that if you follow this commandment, first of all, let's just make something clear. These are not you could do these things. God didn't say, you could. He didn't say you could do these things. He said these are commandments and these are things you must do. So you must honor your father and mother. And I know it might be hard. Some of you may have circumstances where your parents are not the best people who you may want to respect. But God said that if you honor your father and your mother, that your days will be long. Thank you. We're going to roll right on. You shall not murder. I don't think nobody in here killed nobody. Anyway, we're moving right on. He said you shall not commit adultery, cheating, adultery, no matter how small the act, you should not be committing it. You shall not steal. Y'all, when I was going over my Bible study, let me confess something right now. You know, we see these commandments and we think that, oh, it only really matters about the big things, right? But, and I got to go apologize when I see these people again. But I had bought a bunch of food for like $10 already, and I wanted a cookie. So I paid for my food, got everything I wanted. I know I didn't pay for the cookie, but I told the person to give me a cookie and basically stole the cookie. And so I felt so guilty about it. But the reason why I say that story is because a cookie is something so small. That don't mean nothing. It ain't like I gone to the bank, thief all the money. It ain't like I thief somebody's card. It ain't like I thief somebody's purse. But no, Jesus said, well, God gave the commandment that you shall not steal. You must not steal. Let's move on. You shall not bear false witnesses. Basically, y'all need to stop lying. Because I know some of y'all scared away with lying. And honestly, if you never lied before, lying is very hard to do. But for some of y'all don't even know when y'all lie. Y'all just be talking, and then it's just come out your mouth. And I don't know, God said, you shall not bear false witnesses. You shall not lie. So stop it. Anyway. And finally, the last one that he gave to Moses was you shall not covet. Basically, you should not be jealous of your brother's things. And if you see your brother get some shoes, what you like, don't be jealous of him. If you see your friend got a position in something that you wanted, instead of being jealous and hating on them and wanting to thief that position, you're supposed to be supportive, because if they level up, you level up too, because at the end of the day, we're all children of God. And finally, our last commandment is, and it comes from John chapter 13, and it says, a new commandment I give to you, that you love one another as I have loved you, that you also love one another. By this, all will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another. So basically, you're supposed to love one another as you love yourself. And I wouldn't even get into this because a lot of us don't know how to love ourselves, and that's why we can't love our brother. But you're supposed to love one another. So quick recap, the points that I pointed out just now. Obedience to God will allow for the success of your future generations. Obedience assures your strength. And disobedience can cancel, delay, or set you off course. So the final person we're going to talk about is the prophet in Bethel. For those of you who don't know the story, God sent this prophet into the city of Bethel, and he wasn't supposed to stay there, wasn't supposed to eat anything there, wasn't supposed to drink anything there. But as he was there, another prophet came to him and lied to him. He told him, he said, oh, the angel told me that you're supposed to stay in my house. We're supposed to eat a meal together. And so the prophet that God sent to Bethel stayed, and that cost him his life. So my point to you is obedience provides wisdom, and wisdom allows for discernment. If the prophet that God sent into Bethel was obedient, he would already had the wisdom, and it would have provided him with discernment to know that no angel told that man that he should stay there. And he would have went along about his business and go back home like God had already told him to. And because he didn't listen, he was killed by a lion. And that's basically the story. But my point is disobedience can cost you your life. And we're almost done. I'm almost done. Obedience. Obedience is the foundation and test of faith. Obedience comes through faith. We're going to look at Abraham. God told Abraham, first of all, Abraham was very old when he had a son, and then God finally told him, go and sacrifice. We talked about obedience. We talked about Abraham, how Abraham was very old by the time he had his first son. And then God told him, oh, Abraham, go sacrifice your son. And Abraham didn't complain. He didn't say, no, God, this is my only son. I can't do that for you. He took him up, was about to sacrifice him, and that was God's way of testing Abraham's faith. And, oh, where did the thing gone? So my question to you is, as I close, do you love God, Jesus? Do you love Jesus? One more time. Do you love Jesus? So when John chapter 14, verse 15 says, if you love me, you obey my commandments. If you love me, when God tells you to get up and move, you're going to get up and move. If you love Jesus, when he tells you to drop some of those friends so he can take you to a better and higher place, you're going to drop them. When Jesus tells you to drop a high position and pick up a low one so that he could teach you something and work on you and refine you and turn you into a better person, you're going to take it. So my final points, just a little recap, is, first of all, obedience to God allows for the success of your future generations. Obedience assures you strength. Obedience provides wisdom, and wisdom allows for discernment. Disobedience can cost you your life. Obedience is the foundation and test of faith. Obedience comes through faith. And finally, if you're disobedient, you don't listen to God, either you can cancel your calling, delay your calling, or set yourself off course. Thank y'all.